to allow us to validate these things so that they are more appealing candidates to companies.
How do you incentivize them? That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, well, we're going to be adding a badge to their profile where we're going to certify that Magneto HR confirms that this particular candidate has the educational background that he says he has in the resume.
Can you contact schools and figure out whether somebody
that's exactly what we're going to do.
Of course, verifying certs is going to be probably a lot easier because you just need to know like the cert number or something like that. I have a Microsoft cert, for example, so I know that I just need to, for LinkedIn, I just type in the cert number and it'll go to the site and verify it. Yeah, it would seem that if there's a way to hook up to something online, then you could do that. So does that mean you're going to have a number of humans behind the scenes just doing all this stuff?
Yes.
One of the big things that I took away was that certification program. And I know that in today's HR world, it's extraordinarily difficult for employers, because of the risk involved, to be able to give any kind of information out. For instance, you mentioned one of those certification badges would be the former employer will certify that you were there. So with that type of HR environment, with litigation being so tight, how do you plan to get those badges and certifications validated to a high level?
Yeah, no, and that's a great question that you just asked right there, because it's going to be extremely hard to get specifically to the nitties and gritties of what that person do on a particular company. But if you at least can validate that that person worked there at that place, then at least that's a step, right? And at least that it's a lot more than what it's provided today to companies where they have to do that work manually, literally. So for companies and recruiters that like to go and validate a professional experience for people, right? They literally have to go and call these companies where they have previously worked. Some of them will give them a certain amount of information. Some of them don't. Some of them will just say, hey, listen, yes, you work here from this day to this day. Well, at least they work here, right? At least they work there. So that's what we're planning to do. That's what we plan to do right there.
Well, there's a bigger problem there. The fact that there might not be anybody at the previous workplace that knows or remembers that they were a manager. So that would be impossible to verify at that point. That would seem actually that you could even rate employers in general. I mean, you'd know to even, it's like, oh, well, we've had a few people that worked at Joe's gas station and they don't know anything, about their previous employers. I could see you rating the employers behind the scenes on how well they even work.
Yeah, of course, they manage their company, because that's part of the management, right? I mean, if you don't know.
Now, I don't know if that's illegal or not.
At your company, that's not very good management right there. So yes, so no, definitely, and definitely, it's on our long-term plan to do these kind of things. And again, the fact that someone doesn't have the badge, it doesn't mean that it's not true. It means that it couldn't be verified, that we couldn't verify it, and that you might not be able to do that. That's pretty much the difference right there. It's not that we're gonna be the people that don't have the badge have a shady or don't have a real, right? A real profile.
It might not be their own fault that their previous boss. I've worked for over 30, 40 years now, and there's past places that I've worked that are no longer in business. That's kind of stuck there. And of course, you could rate the resume, and you could say, okay, Faz's resume is mostly verified. However, there's stuff. And then I could see all sorts of disclaimers. Well, we can't verify this because they might be out of business. I see a number of potential obstacles that might make an employee look bad or an employer look bad if people knew that information. That's
a very good point.
I just have the one more question, which relates back a little bit earlier when we were talking about the matching.
Yeah.
We all have one of the things that, as a little backstory to this, one of the reasons that Faz and I were so excited about talking to you is not very long ago, just 3 weeks ago or so, he and I had a discussion about hiring practices, and we hire. Faz hires one way, I hire another. There's no like true way to do it. When I was running the warehouse, I didn't want warehouse people.
You didn't what?
I didn't want them. You know who I did want? You know who our best warehouse employees tended to be? Former chefs, cooks.
Wow.
For two main reasons. Number one, they were job hopping left and right. The job security in being a cook or a chef is terrible. So we offered stability, which motivated them to do a good job. Second, because they were used to cooking these complicated recipes with all these different things, when I sent them out to pick parts, they were the most accurate part pickers we ever had. So the combination of those two things, when I would go looking for shippers, I would go and dig up as many cooks and chefs and everything else that I could find. Is there a way, because we talked about the candidate side, is there a way for employers to not only take the recommendations of Polaris, but also to do a finicky search like I might do wanting former cooks or chefs?
Yes.
Can you train them to the Titan method of picking?
The Titan method. Well, that's a good way to put it.
I was the best one. That's why I'm at where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. The Titan method. We'll keep that in mind, Titan. I hope you allow us to use that. So we're going to be allowing companies, while they create their job posting, to provide preferences as to what professions, as to what type of professionals they're looking for that particular position, regardless of what the job entails. Obviously, we're going to be bringing as well people with experience, right? It's gonna be right now, and the way we're gonna do it once we launch next year in Q2. In Q1, we're gonna be releasing the beta version, and then in Q2 we're gonna be going to the public. Yes, we're gonna allow you to do that, right? To set up preferences as to what profession you're looking for. But you're gonna get people in that line of work as well.